You're not invited. Laura doesn't want you there, my family texted coldly after I funded their entire wedding. Then pay for it yourselves, Leeches, I snapped while canceling everything and deleting 63 files. You're not invited to the wedding, Mom, Laura's family wrote in a text. She doesn't want you there. That was all. No apology. No explanation. Just cold words in a plain gray bubble. I read it once, then again, then one more time. My thumb hovered over the screen as the coffee beside me sat untouched, getting cold. So you picked image over family? I typed back. No emoji. No jokes. Just truth. Then without hesitation I opened my laptop, logged into the wedding planner account and canceled the venue deposit. The reservation was under my name. I had paid with my own credit card. They didn't even know that. The best part? The money couldn't be refunded. I closed the laptop, leaned back in my chair and stared at the wall. I wasn't angry, not yet. I wasn't even sad. I just felt still, like something inside me had quietly stepped back and was watching from a distance. They had done this before, not so directly, not in bold letters, but I felt it in the side comments and the jokes during dinner, in the way they forgot my birthday 3 years straight and blamed it on the group chat not showing the notification. I saw it in how Laura became the daughter they praised and wanted. While I was just Michael, always helpful, always quiet, I helped pick the dress shop. I made the first deal with the caterer. I found the Airbnb when Kevin's parents said the Colorado Lodge was too basic. I located a better one with lake views. I even designed the save the date site. They used my Canva account. They still had the password. But now I was a problem because Laura's dad didn't like my vibe because I wore black to brunch, because I asked where the $5,000 in catering costs went and wouldn't just drop it when Mom said just trust us. They needed me until they didn't. Now they were building the perfect wedding photo album without me. Fake smiles, filtered pictures. No Michael, just the people who fit. I took a slow breath and opened our shared folder, Laura and Kevin wedding planning. I clicked through the pictures, the contracts, the schedules, then I deleted everything I had uploaded, all 63 files. I changed the folder name to Good Luck Without Me. I didn't send a warning. I didn't say a word. Let them panic when they try to confirm with the florist. Let them get confused when the photographer doesn't answer. Let them be shocked when the venue writes this reservation has been canceled by the account owner. They thought I would stay quiet, smile, accept it like always. But this wasn't just about a wedding. This was the last break in something that had been falling apart for years. They gave me the scissors and expected me not to cut the string. They wanted me out, wish granted, but they didn't expect me to take everything I gave with me, and I was just getting started. Ask them and they'll say I was always too sensitive, that I took things personally, that I made drama out of nothing. But let me explain how I became this version of myself. Let's go back 6 months. It was a Friday night. Laura called me crying. Kevin had lost his job. They were behind on rent for their downtown apartment, 3 months late. They tried talking to the landlord, but he said he'd file eviction papers by Monday unless he got all the money. I didn't think twice. I sent $6,200 from my savings and told her to reach out again if she needed more. That was the 3rd time I rescued them that year. The first, dad overdrew from his retirement account and needed $8,500 fast to avoid extra fees. The second, Mom forgot Laura's bachelorette Airbnb was on my credit card and let the girls ruin the place. I kept a spreadsheet. I took screenshots not to use against them but to remind myself I wasn't imagining things, that I wasn't crazy for feeling like I was bleeding money, time and care into a family who treated me like a quiet piggy bank. And it wasn't just the money. It was how they acted after I helped. Like I was just the help, just a backstage worker. One time while I was fixing Dad's gutters in a thunderstorm, he joked I should become a house husband since I clearly wasn't man enough to earn a real income. They all laughed. Even Laura joined in. Later when I brought it up, Mom told me I was being too dramatic. She said Dad was just old-fashioned. Old-fashioned. That same man once left me outside and locked the door in high school just because I wore eyeliner. But maybe she was right. Maybe I really was too emotional. When Laura got engaged, she told me over FaceTime. Mom and Dad were right behind her on the couch, clapping and smiling. They had helped plan the whole proposal with Kevin, even went with him to pick out the ring. Me. I found out through my phone screen. I should have recognized the signs, but part of me thought that if I kept helping, maybe someday they'd finally see me as someone who mattered. I paid for the engagement pictures $1,000. I built the wedding website. I made custom invites. I even paid the deposit for the venue because Mom said her card wasn't working that day. I was building their wedding step by step while they gave me scraps and called me easygoing. Then came the message. First was Aunt Dorothy. Hey. I heard you're not invited to the wedding. Is that real? Then Uncle Albert, did you say something weird to Kevin's dad? Just wondering. And finally the post that broke me, a photo on Facebook. Laura and Kevin standing with my parents in front of a barn glowing with string lights. The caption read, "So proud of our family. Can't wait to celebrate with all the right people." The right people. I wasn't even tagged. I checked the comments. One of Laura's friends had written, "Is Michael going to be there? He always made us laugh." Laura had replied, "We're keeping it small. Only people we trust." That night I couldn't sleep. I stayed up going through receipts, emails and call logs, and I saw it clearly for the first time. I was the only one who gave and never asked for anything in return. A week later I got a group text from the family. "Hi everyone. Can we all chip in for Laura's bridal shower decorations? Michael, since you're great with websites, can you make an RSVP page? Love you." I didn't answer. 10 minutes later Laura messaged me privately. "Can you just do this without being passive-aggressive?" So I made a different decision. I logged into the wedding venue portal and submitted a request to cancel the $4,200 deposit. Technically it wasn't refundable, but I had selected the wedding insurance option when I booked it. It was a small extra box no one else paid attention to. I submitted a claim under family dispute. They refunded 90%. Then I logged into Canva and erased every single design I'd created: RSVP forms, table layouts, welcome posters, everything deleted. I made one new file. Its title asked Kevin's dad to deal with it, then I shared it with the entire family. And that's when everything exploded. 3 hours later Mom called me in full panic. "What are you doing? Do you know how this makes us look?" I replied, "Yes. That's exactly why I'm doing it." Then Dad called. He skipped right to shouting, "You've always hated Laura. That's all this is. You couldn't stand her having a better life than you." I moved the phone away from my face and ended the call. That night my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Laura posted a vague Instagram story. "It's always the closest ones who hurt you." Mom uploaded a photo of Laura crying with the caption, "Nothing cuts deeper than your own brother ruining your daughter's big day." Messages started pouring in. Some were from friends, others from cousins. A few asked, "Are you okay?" But most didn't ask. They just accused, "Why would you wreck her wedding?" I ignored them all. Then a package showed up at my door, a yellow envelope, no return address. Inside, a printed screenshot of a private group chat, Laura and her bridesmaids. She had written, "We'll get Michael to cover the cake too. Just guilt him about being the only brother. It always works." Another bridesmaid had added, "Kevin can't even stand him. He said Michael creeps him out, LOL, and then he's not going to the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Watch." On top of the stack there was a sticky note written in handwriting I recognized. "You deserve better, Elizabeth." I didn't know who Elizabeth was, but I would soon. And once I did, everything shifted, because Elizabeth didn't just have screenshots. Elizabeth had audio recordings. The moment I listened to them I knew exactly what I had to do. The rehearsal dinner was held at a snobby vineyard about a half-hour drive from the city. They described it as rustic luxury. I thought it was just overpriced drinks, trees wrapped in fairy lights and fake charm, but I came dressed sharp and calm. I wasn't there for the food. I came to shut it all down. I walked in just as the toast was happening. Laura was laughing. Kevin had his arm around her. Dad looked tense. Mom wouldn't look at me. They clearly didn't expect me to show. To them I was the villain in the background, the angry brother who couldn't move on. But I wasn't angry. I was done. I walked right to the front. "Sorry to cut in," I said, tapping a glass. The room froze. Someone gave a nervous laugh. Laura frowned. I pulled a small speaker from inside my jacket and placed it on the table. Then I held up a flash drive. Kevin jumped up. "What is this?" he asked. I looked right at him. "I'm giving you what you actually deserve." I pressed play. A girl's voice played first. Laura laughing. We'll make Michael pay for the cake too. Just guilt trip him about being the only brother. It always works. The silence broke. Someone gasped. A fork hit a plate. No one moved. I stayed still. Then another voice played. Kevin doesn't even like him. He says Michael creeps him out. LOL. Kevin's face lost all color. Laura rushed forward to grab the speaker. I stepped in the way. Sit down. I didn't ask. I told her. Then the last clip played. Laura again, voice cold and proud. He won't be at the wedding. I'll make sure of it. Just watch. I paused the recording and looked at the crowd. Any questions? Kevin tried to speak, then stayed silent. Dad stood up furious. You think this is okay? You think this is the right time? Sit down, I snapped. And for once he did. I turned to Laura. I've spent over $18,000 on this wedding, I said. I built your website. I locked in your venue. I paid for your florist. I did it because stupidly I thought this meant something, that we were family. Laura was trembling. Her mascara was running down her cheek. You don't understand, she began. No, I interrupted. You don't. You never have. You didn't want a brother. You wanted a bank account. I pulled out a folder, hard copy screenshots, text messages from mom and dad, receipts from PayPal, invoices I had paid, and saved even a group chat where Laura called me their free wedding planner. I handed it to Kevin. You still want to marry her? I asked. He stared at the paper, said nothing. Then someone in a gray coat stood up from the back of the room. She had a badge around her neck and a phone in her hand. Hi everyone. Sorry to interrupt, she said. I'm Alice. I used to work with Michael. I also run a digital forensics agency. She turned to Laura. Michael asked me to review the files, then she held up her phone. This audio is real. No cuts. No edits. It came from a WhatsApp backup connected to your old phone number. I also have the metadata to prove it. Laura's jaw dropped. Mom gasped. Dad growled. Is this some kind of prank? Alice gave a polite smile. Not even close. Then came the real turn. Kevin looked at Laura. You told me Michael said awful things to you, that he threatened you, that he was unstable. He waved the papers. You lied. She grabbed his arm. No, Kevin. Don't touch me, he said. Then the room exploded. My aunt stood up shouting. Someone knocked over a glass. My mother tried to speak, but her voice caught in her throat. Through all of it, I stayed still, quiet, steady, just watching. When the shouting and panic reached its loudest point, I raised my voice one last time. I'm not going to the wedding, I said. That choice had already been made. But now they'd go through with it without my money, without my help, and without me staying quiet. Then I looked at my parents. You shut me out the moment I stopped acting like your puppet, I said. So I'm cutting the strings now. And as I started to walk away, Kevin's voice rang out. I'm ending this, he said clearly. Laura let out a piercing scream, a high-pitched cry that felt like broken glass in the air. You can't do this here, she yelled. Oh, I said, but he just did. Then I walked out. No background music, no slow motion scene, just the quiet sound of everything they built falling apart behind me. I didn't go back home after that rehearsal dinner. I didn't even take the freeway. Instead, I took a quiet road heading north somewhere with no service, no noise. 1 month before that night, I had signed a rental lease for a small cabin far from the city, a forgotten little town with barely 600 people, one diner, and a single gas station. Nobody there cared who I was. That was exactly why I chose it. I paid 6 months in advance. No forwarding info, no digital trail, just peace. For the first 3 days, I didn't turn my phone on. No emails. No calls. I didn't speak to anyone. I just sat outside on the porch with a thermos of black coffee, listening to birds fight over trees none of them would ever own. I didn't feel proud. I felt free. No more neck pain. No more guilt. No one begging for money. No more pretending to care just long enough to ask for a favor. On the 4th day, I went into town and signed up for something I had always wanted but never had the courage to try. A class in archival preservation at the local college. History old newspaper letters from people long gone. For once I was surrounded by things that remembered. No fake smiles, no mind games, no you owe us. I started volunteering at the county museum. I helped label photos from the 1950s. I repaired an old microfilm reader. And for the first time in my life I didn't care if no one noticed because it was mine, quietly mine. The messages started showing up a week later. They came to my backup email, an old Gmail tied to a spare phone I rarely used. I didn't open the first few, but the subject line said plenty. Can we talk? You went too far. We're still family. Then came the blocked numbers, dozens of them. I left the phone turned off. They weren't trying to make things right. They just wanted control again. What scared them wasn't the proof. It was the quiet. They didn't know what I would do next. And for the first time they couldn't steer the outcome. 3 weeks later a court notice was delivered to my old apartment. Turned out my father had tried to sell part of the family land, but he didn't realize that 2 years ago, after he almost remortgaged it behind my back, I had locked the deed. I left it frozen just in case. He triggered the clause himself. His sale collapsed. The buyer walked away and a fraud case opened against him. Not because I exposed him, but because I didn't protect him this time. No long social media post. No group chat messages. I just disappeared. No birthday wishes. No last-minute help. No vague promises for another time. And that's what finally broke them, because people like that don't fear punishment. They fear being forgotten. They fear an empty spotlight. One morning I walked to the local post office, not to check for letters but to pick up a small package I had ordered. Behind me in line someone was on the phone. They said I heard Laura's fiancé dumped her before the wedding and her brother vanished with all the money. I never looked back. I didn't explain, didn't correct the story. I just disappeared. No phone number, no home address, no way to reach me. They thought being quiet meant I had no power. What they didn't see was that silence was my decision. A clean, controlled way to say goodbye, not with argument, with disappearance. The kind of absence you can't twist or guilt into coming back, the kind that leaves people sitting with the truth of what they've done. They can't shame me now. They can't call me when rent's due or when their card's maxed. They can't fake kindness just to ask for more help, because there's no us anymore. There's just them in a mailbox that doesn't answer. Funny thing, when you finally leave the people who built their world by standing on your back, they don't crash right away. They freeze like someone hit mute and they can't figure out how to fix the sound. That's what happened when everything fell apart. After the dinner, the missed calls, the quiet, deep down they still thought I'd come back. I always did before, but this time I vanished. I got a new number. Not just a new SIM, a new provider, a new country code, no message forwarding, no auto replies, just gone. I closed the shared account Dad had connected to me for emergencies. I moved all my bank info to a private vault. I updated my medical power of attorney, took every family name off the list, even changed my emergency contact on my license. Now it lists no one. They don't know where I am, where I work, what state I'm in, what country, or if I'm even alive, and that drives them mad. 1 month ago I made one visit, not to their house, not to that vineyard. I drove past the wedding venue, the one I canceled. It was quiet. No one there. A faded for sale sign tilted on the gate, a dead bouquet lying crushed on the gravel. It felt right. I rolled the window down. The wind smelled like rain and regret. Before leaving I did one last thing. I walked to the mailbox near the front gate and slid in a small envelope. No return address. Inside was a printed copy of the final bill I had paid for the wedding. On top I stuck a post-it. It read, "Thanks for nothing. I don't check the old email anymore, but sometimes just to see I log in." One message sat unread. "Please just talk to us." I didn't open it. Another said, "We don't know who you are anymore." That one that made me smile, because they're finally right. I'm not the one who used to send money at 3 a.m. I'm not the backup plan. I'm not the one who handled the wedding, listened to their problems, stayed quiet, or lived in shame. I'm just someone new now, someone they can't reach, can't use, and can't rewrite. Last week I bought a new mailbox, steel secure with a lock. One of those drop boxes that doesn't let anything back out. The installer asked what name I wanted on it. I said no name, just a message. So now on a small brass plate below the lock it reads, "This box does not accept apology." And every day the quiet I live in says more than words ever could.